MCQs on cow milk. The gestation period for cow is 9 months, 9 days, and gestation period of buffalo is 10 months, 10 days. Gestation period of goat is 5 months, 5 days, and gestation period of cat and dogs, canine and feline, is 2 months, 2 days. Fetal development period is the period from the time of conception until the birth. Gestation period for cows is 9 months. After calving, the cow gives milk for approximately 10 months. After giving birth, the cow lactates for about 10 months. Amount of blood through udder needed for the formation of 1 liter milk is approximately 1000 liters or 800 to 900 liters, 800 to 1000 liters. So the answer will be C. 800 to 900 liter of blood is required for formation of 1 liter of milk. Usually 850 liters of blood is used up. So it means that a local breed cow, as the Sahiwal etc., they give approximately 10 liters of milk per day. So for producing 10 liter of milk per day, their udder requires 8500 liters or 8500 liters of blood to circulate from their udder within the interval of 24 hours, or daily the udder requirement for blood is approximately 9000 liters of blood, so as to make the 10 liters of milk. The first milk the cow produces after calving is called as the colostrum. Cream and butter are the products of the milk processing. First milk produced by a cow after giving birth is called as colostrum. The special milk is yellow to orange in color and thick and sticky and is rich in antibodies. Hormone that needs to be released in order to start milking is the oxytocin. Oxytocin is also released as a reflex known as the Ferguson reflex, and this reflex is produced when during the birth of the calf, in which the forelimbs of the calf, when hits the uterine lining or the cervical lining, they signal the brain to let the release of oxytocin, and this signaling of the fetal limbs to the brain to release the oxytocin is also known as the Ferguson reflex. So clarification is that to start milking process, it is very important that oxytocin is released from cow's body, and the most worst method that let the animal to give milk is by injecting the oxytocin through external sources. Never inject oxytocin to the animal to let it to give the milk, as it has harmful effects to that animal by external sources of oxytocin. The internal sources of or the internal ways of oxytocin, they are being managed by other physiological mechanisms of the animal. Milking is done by which of the following methods? Hand milking and machine milking, both are the methods of milking. Milking can be done both by hand and by machine, but automated milking is preferred over manual milking as it reduces the risk to contamination. If an individual have 1 or 2 animals with milk production of 5 to 10 liters per day, then it do not require any milking machine. But if a farmer has more than 10 animals, then it will definitely require a milking machine, as a single person cannot milk milk more than 10 animals in a day. Milk should be kept at 5 degrees centigrade temperature as soon as it leaves the cow. 5 or 4 degrees centigrade, milk should be kept at 4 degrees centigrade. It has been found that at 4 degrees centigrade the growth of pathogenic microorganisms stops, which is not a consequence of season milk production. All of them, three of them are the consequence or the resultant of milk production. The resultant of milk production is the seasonal swings in price, as the increased price in the summer and decreased price of milk in winter is due to the season, as in summer there is less production of milk and excess manufacturing capacity. If there is more, if the input, if there are more, if it's related to demand supply rule. If there is more supply, then obviously the and demand is constant, and then obviously the price will be lowered down. And excess milk production in the spring, leads to the decreased price of the milk. And season is an is not a variable, is not a dependent variable. Season is an independent variable. Above 3, A, B and C are the dependent variables, and they are depending on the milk production. More milk production, there will be less price of the milk. More production, more production and excess manufacturing capacity will also leads to the decreased amount of the price of the milk. And more milk production or the excess milk production in the spring will also leads to the decrease in price of the milk. And more production has no effect on the season, where if there is more production or less production, the season is an independent variable. The season is not dependent on the milk production. Seasonal swings in price, excess manufacturing capacity and excess milk production in the spring all are consequences to seasonal milk production, and season is not dependent on the milk production. The leading cause of high bacteria count in raw milk is poor sanitation. Sanitation is dependent on the bacterial count. Poor sanitation attributes to high bacterial count in the milk. It leads to downgrade the quality of the milk. After milking a cow, the cow teats should be dipped immediately. The answer is D. It is advisable that the cow's teats should be dipped immediately after milking. Generally, which breed produces largest volume of the milk? Holstein Friesian produces the largest volume of the milk. So many countries are breeding their local breeds with that of the Holstein Friesian, so that to obtain a product F1 generation that will have a better production from their native breeds, from their crossbred native breeds. Holstein breed produce the largest volume of milk as compared to Ayrshire, Jersey and Brown Swiss. Milk from cow with mastitis will have both abnormal freezing point and high somatic cell count. Milk from a cow with mastitis will have an abnormal freezing point and high somatic cell count. This milk should not be consumed. And the application of high somatic cell count for the detection of mastitis is on the technique known as the California mastitis test. California mastitis test is a mastitis diagnosing technique in which we interpret that the animal is the severity of the mastitis of an animal with the amount of somatic cell count on the milk. Name general for a class of bacteria that causes mastitis in dairy cattle is Staphylococcus aureus or Staph aureus. There are many books written on that topic. Example, the mastitis by Staphylococcus aureus, or there is also book named Staphylococcus aureus, and this Staphylococcus aureus book has main focus on the mastitis. There are many PhD theses on this topic, that mastitis by Staphylococcus aureus, or the thesis or research on Staphylococcus aureus that leads to mastitis. All others are the less frequently isolated organisms from the mastitis infected animals. So, and these other bacteria other than the Staphylococcus aureus are usually attributed as the secondary microbial pathogens. Mostly healthy open cows will start a new reproductive cycle every 21 to 28. Clarification of previous MCQ. Mastitis in dairy cattle is caused by Staphylococcus aureus or Staphylococcus. Mastitis is a bacterial disease which leads to inflammation in mammary glands of a cow. Mostly healthy open cows will start a new reproductive cycle every 21 days, and 28 days is in humans. Reproductive cycle for a healthy cow starts every 21 to 28 days, 21 to 24 days. 28 is very large value. It's not so, this range is not so wide. It will be a 21 to 22 to 23 or 24 days. Percentage of water in milk, in buffalo milk is 88%, so answer will be 87 to 90%. D, buffalo has 87 to 90% of water. If the water is 87%, then the solids will be the 13%, and if the buffalo milk has 90% of water, then the solids in the milk will be 10%. And on average, the solid of the milk of cattle and buffalo are the 12%. So the average 88% is the water in milk, and 10 to 30% others are the material or solids. And in these solids, 4% are the proteins, 4% are the carbohydrates, and 0.7% are the minerals.